Welcome to the Rat Race to 5 podcast, where we discuss money, mindset, real estate investing, and ways to achieve financial independence. Whether you are a rookie or a veteran needing new ideas for investing or creating side hustles, you're in the right place. Here to challenge you to think out of the box, your hosts, Felipe Mejia and Diego Corzo.
Diego, we're back at the Rat Race to 5 podcast. I've had COVID for the past 13 days, so I've been totally out of it. So everyone who's been listening, sorry about the delay. Diego, how's Austin, man? How are you?
Austin is great. It's a little bit colder than usual, but I'm excited that I'm going to be seeing you tomorrow in Nashville. So
yeah, super excited for that. We're going to have a meetup. Today we have an awesome guest. Her name is Tiffany. She's got 122 units. She's 25 and she manages 300 plus units, which is huge. And she talks about the processes, procedures she does, the job that got her into what she's doing. There's so much sauce in this podcast. I wish it would have gone another hour, but we want to definitely respect her time. So let's just get right into it with Tiffany. But before we do that, let's hear from one of our sponsors real quick. Hey guys, I'm Felipe from REI Call Center. We're super excited that you're listening to the podcast. If you are interested in an amazing cold caller for your wholesale or realtor business, please reach out to the guys at reicallcenter.com. Let's get started. Diego, what's up, man? We're super excited. Dude, we got Tiffany today on the podcast. I'll introduce her here in 30 seconds. But dude, I'm finally over COVID. Oh my gosh, can I get a round of applause? That was nuts, man. I know that was crazy, but we're not here to talk about me and COVID or what we got going on. We got Tiffany today on the podcast. Super excited to hear her story. Tiffany, how are you?
I'm doing great. I just got over COVID as well, so we're in this together.
Let's do it. That's good. How was your experience, Tiffany? Because mine was terrible.
It was crazy. The first 2 days, I couldn't even really open my eyes. After that, it just turned into extreme fatigue, and it was about 2.5 weeks ago. And yesterday was the first night I didn't sleep for 12 hours. So
what?
The experience, yes.
Yeah, it's funny. I was weak. I had chills, coughs. Even right now, you might hear me cough a little bit on the podcast. I apologize. I lose my breath if I'm too much. But yeah, it was nuts. I totally have another respect for COVID, when at first I took it more lightly. Man, that was nuts. It's funny because I went 2 years without getting it. And then 6 days into 2022, it's wow. And that was it. It was nuts.
You can't run. Everybody's going to get it at some point, I'm sure.
Man, it's so true. Diego, have you gotten it?
No, I'm still, and I was just at a 200 to 300 people event last week. But thankfully, knock on wood, I'm still good. I go into open houses as a realtor, right?
Yeah, dang, you're out there.
I'm still, I'm still good.
I hope this isn't political because people have politicized it. I think that's the right word. But you're vaccinated, right? And boosted up and all that.
I haven't done my booster, but I did have.
You did get vaxxed. So I wonder if that's got something to do with it. Because I got it and I was on my deathbed. I was damn, screw this. This is scary. But we're not here to talk about COVID or vaccines or any of that. We are not Joe Rogan, even though I love his podcast. We're here to talk about talk with Tiffany about real estate and all that. So make sure you stay to the very end. There's probably some really good stories. But before we get to that, Tiffany, can you tell us a little bit more who were you in high school or maybe even college? Who were you growing up in your teenage years? How did you get led into real estate? Give us the good stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So throughout my life, I actually moved quite a bit with my family. We weren't military. We weren't anything like that. We just tended to move a lot. But growing up, my dad actually flipped homes. And growing up, I didn't really have any terminology or knowledge of, this is cool. He's a real estate investor, anything like that. It was more so, hey, you're going to scrape some popcorn ceilings, or hey, you're going to, sledgehammer this wall down today in elementary school. But in high school, I was a nerd, more introverted, played basketball, but really more introverted. And throughout my years, I grew up just saying, hey, I'm going to be a millionaire. And I didn't know what that meant, but just knowing that the financial freedom, the time freedom to hang out with my family, and then growing up and after college, I started working in apartment management, ended up networking my way in with a real estate investor, and essentially an asset manager, but getting partial ownership as a real estate investor to manage all of these deals.
Now, did you go to college or did you go straight into working?
I did. I went to Grand Canyon in Phoenix.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I don't know if I missed that part. Sorry. Okay, go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah, so that's basically it. Like I said, not really like being around it growing up, but not really having the terminology for what a real estate investor was, but just having these big dreams for my life as well. I kind of stumbled my way into real estate.
What did you go to school for?
Entrepreneurial studies, so business.
Oh, cool. I wish I would have went for something else. I'm not kidding, Tiffany. I went to college and I'll never forget. I can remember it was yesterday. I walked into my guidance counselor's office, and let me backtrack. I never met with my guidance counselor in high school ever. No idea who she was. Yeah, it's nuts. But I also went to like a really large high school. I went to my guidance counselors in college because we had to meet with like our advisor or whatever. And she was like, oh, so what, you haven't declared your major. What do you want to do? I was like, declare a major? I thought you told me what I studied. Like, I swear, like first generation college, like in my culture, like after high school, you just go to work. Like it wasn't like a thing. And literally she gave me the sheet of paper, and I know this podcast isn't about me, but this is a cool story. She gave me a sheet of paper and it had 6 little lines. And then at the top it said like, declaring your major or something like that. And I asked her, I was like, can you give me some advice? Like, what do you think I can do? Excuse the coughs. And she was like, well, what do you like? Like, you don't have to declare. You can take this, that. And I was like, well, I know what I don't like. I don't like math. Can you help me pick something that maybe? And she's like, well, like I said, you don't have to declare, but sociology and criminal justice and these things just have your first level, second level, algebra or college, whatever. I was like, okay, I'll do that. There's no college. So I just put criminal justice, sociology at the top. And I saw 6 lines, and she was like, okay, pick your classes. Okay. And I saw 6 lines. I just filled out all 6. So I took 18 hours every semester until I graduated. I didn't know any better. And I never changed my major. I literally have my degree up there. I never changed my major. I took 18 hours every semester. And you know what's crazy is I went to college fall, spring, and summer. Because I didn't know you had summer. Like it was absolutely crazy, Tiffany. So that's my college story. Super, super hilarious. I wish I would have changed my major and know what I know now. Would you say that college has positively affected your investing career now? Like, would you say that you're using some of the things you learned?
So I have just recently graduated college. I'm only 25 years old. So coming from that perspective, yes and no. So the connections I made in college have been amazing. It's actually my husband's mentor, and we dated in college, who is this real estate investor that I connected with and now manage and help own this company with him. So that has been key, and just the life skills of networking and, public speaking and different things like that have helped, but my degree, not at all. So
I have to agree on my end. If I look back at college, other than helping me be able to be a software developer, right, at my job, but then when I left, that really didn't help me other than the connections. Like if I look back, if I were to just get into real estate from the beginning, I wouldn't have gone into college. But the connections did help me a lot.
Yeah,
go ahead, Tiffany. Sorry.
I tell people all the time that if you don't really know what you want to do with college or know what you want to study, don't go. Don't waste the money. Get into some sort of trade, real estate, trade, mechanic, anything like that. Get into something and figure it out later if you need a degree.
I agree 100% with that. And then we can jump off of this college bandwagon, but just to hone on it a couple more seconds. I think a lot of times people maybe go to college to 2 things. Would you guys agree? To satisfy our parents' belief that you got to go to college to be successful. And I'm not putting that on our parents because that's all they know, and that's okay. But I think it's also up to us to kind of educate ourselves to say, hey, is college going to be a positive influence to my goals as I grow older? Or is it going to be a hindrance where I'm going to lose 4 years and $100,000? I feel like a lot of times we go for the experience over the actual education that comes from college. Because when I think about it, like you said, the relationships are great. The friendships I made were awesome. But like I'm not using my degree. And that was like, I think $130 something thousand that my mom paid for that maybe I could have used as an investing that would have been paying me even to this day. If my advice for anyone listening who is thinking about going to college or maybe doing their own thing is take a year off. Think about it. Take a huge deep breath. Colleges aren't going anywhere. They're a lucrative business. So take a year off. Tell your parents you're willing to work, learn, do something. And then after a year, sit yourself down with reality and be like, do I need to go to college for the things that I'm passionate about? Or can I go ahead and get started now? I'm on Diego's side on that one where as being invested in real estate, you don't need a college degree and you could be a lot further if you didn't go to college. But Tiffany, you said you just graduated. You told us a little bit about what you did to get into real estate. Can you tell us how you think the jobs that you were doing and if you're still working now are affecting your real estate in a good way?
Yeah. So I've had several different jobs, and everything I've done, just from my personality, I put my all into them. And I think that's one of the skills that I've learned, is just put your all into everything, because people pick up on that and then they give you opportunities where maybe you think you don't deserve them. That's essentially how it fell into my lap. I gave my all working in apartment management. I was really good at my job. I treated it like my own business. I was managing 400 unit apartment buildings.
Wow.
And should I have been? Probably not, but I just gave it my all and treated it like my own and treated it like I was the owner even before I was an owner. And now I'm managing a 350 unit portfolio as a partial owner. And it was just constant putting my all into it and treating it like I was the owner, even when I wasn't the owner. And that was the biggest thing I picked up on my jobs before becoming an investor. Just give your all, because people are noticing even when you think nobody's noticing.
Did you say managing 400?
Yeah, we have a portfolio over 350. We have a team of different on-site managers, people that live there and do some tasks in exchange for their rent, different things like that. So it's more.
And you're still there now?
Yes. Well, no, I'm not. I'm not managing apartments anymore. Our own portfolio is 350 units, and that's what I do full time as an owner operator.
Wait,
that's awesome.
It's crazy.
Yeah, wait, let's go back. Hold on. Let's pause real quick, because I'm not going to allow you to just throw that bomb out there and then just kind of coast by. So you manage 350 plus units that are yours in some sort of fashion.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
I'm a partial owner on all of them.
You're a what?
Partial owner in exchange for operating them. So other people's money, not my own money.
That's sexy. I'm excited to get into this.
So
this is going to be good.
From that perspective, you are a GP on a syndication.
Yep.
Diego, can you explain that?
Okay. Yeah. So a syndication is basically where it's divided into GPs and LPs. The LPs are the partners that bring in the money. They're not on title, but they will bring part of the capital. The GPs are more of the asset management company. They are the ones that raise the capital. They might sign all of the documents. They also put up the earnest money, inspection money, and all of that stuff in the beginning for part of the GP. And so usually there's that asset management part, and that's what you do, Tiffany, from that perspective.
So Tiffany, tell us about that. How did you get into this? You're 25, 26 years old? Cool. So tell us how that worked for you, how you got into it, how you manage. Well, let's start with this. How did you get into it? Tell us about the deal, and then we'll dig into how you manage systems, processes, and procedures.
Perfect. Yeah. So like I said, my husband's mentor in college, he was doing this before me. And so we split the GP. He was growing to where he couldn't personally self-manage all of it on his own. So he knew I was working in apartments, from conversations, friendship. He knew what I was doing in apartments. I was treating it as my own. He knew I had the skills, the capacity, and he said, come on board, let's do this together. So our company is Game Day Real Estate, and we are the GPs. We bring in investors. So that's kind of how it got started. Like I said, networking, because I didn't have to create this all myself. He was already doing it and I got brought in.
So this is powerful, Tiffany, and I have two examples of this. So one, I want to talk about how the eyes are always watching, right? You said you treated your job like if it was your passion and somebody was watching. And now you have the honor, the pleasure, the right to a lot of real estate. because you treated a job where you are at to your fullest potential. And that speaks volumes because somebody was watching. And that's huge because a lot of people are like, oh, well, I'm just at this job too because I really want to do this. And it's like, well, Jesse Itzler said it best, be 100% where you are. If you're with your kids, be the best dad. If you're flipping a property at the property, flip the hell out of that property. You were at a job and you were crushing it like if it was your own business and somebody was watching. The second thing is, start with where you want to be. So like you started in this position managing other people's stuff. You were putting in the boots on the ground. You were grinding it out day to day. I'm sure you didn't love and passionate about your job, but you did it well. And now you're in a position where you're doing it for yourself. So what's really cool about that is we have a friend, Diego and I have an acquaintance who did this in college. So he would help people find apartment complexes, an apartment to live in. He would get a little cut out of that, but it was setting him up for what he does now as a fantastic realtor. So it's like kind of like the same thing. So we get to see this on and on where people are like, if you're like where you're at, do it with passion, and the universe, the world, God, whatever you believe in will like give you those things, speaking it into existence, right? So I think that's awesome what you were doing. Diego, were you going to say something?
Oh, well, it was going to be similar to what you just said of the, you never know, like right at the beginning too, you're working for the knowledge and you were dedicating as much time as possible towards that. And then now you can put into work and now you have equity. I heard once from Osborne who said, you should either work for equity or for the knowledge that you're going to be getting at those jobs. And it sounds like now you have both. You already got the knowledge and now you have equity. So that's awesome.
Exactly. Yeah. When I was working at the big apartment complexes as the job, I wasn't making great money, but every day I showed up trying to learn something new. I would talk with our regional manager all the time about, the budgeting and hiring and the whole 9 yards. Every day I was trying to learn something new in that job role. And that's how I had the skill set to come into being an investor now.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's perfect. So anyone that's listening, where you're at in your job, you never know who's watching. So be present in the moment of where you're at, because you never know how it's a setup to where you might want to be. All right, Tiffany. So can we talk about maybe the first deal that you did, GP? How did you learn? What was the situation? And then maybe talk a little bit about the processes and procedures that you have in place to manage such a large portfolio. And kudos to you for doing it at such a young age. You're crushing it.
Thank you. It's difficult, but every day is fun. So one of the first deals we did is part of our portfolio is apartment flips. And congratulations to you guys. I know you just got your 34 unit.
Yeah, thank you. It was exciting.
It's so exciting.
But it sounds like nothing compared to now. I'm kind of like it.
Right? Like,
it's like 340.
We just do a couple of those. That's the only difference. So we buy in that range all the time, 10 to 40 units, apartment complexes. We oftentimes buy them off of sellers that maybe were self-managing. Oftentimes they're older gentlemen who would do all of the maintenance themselves. So there's a lot of deferred maintenance. And so we buy those in our Phoenix market and we flip them. We give everybody, the appropriate notices. We completely flip the property and then using other people's money, and then we re-rent them, lease up, and then we sell them. So that's a big chunk of our portfolio is constantly churning apartment flips.
So really quick, before you move on, I'm so sorry. We heard all that, but how do you find the deals? How do you find it? And then we can keep going. Sorry. I wrote it down because I'll forget.
That's okay. So finding deals, we do a lot off market through some commercial brokers that we have relationships with. And because my business partner has been doing this for a decade, he has strong relationships on his side. And so they often come to us first. Like, hey, I know you're an apartment flipper. You do these deals all the time. I've got another person trying to sell. Do you want this deal? So a lot of what we do is off market through the commercial brokers that we partner with.
Okay.
Cool.
Awesome.
Okay.
And so then you guys were able to find these properties. And how was it that opportunity came up? Like they gave you, hey, we want to give you a salary, and then part of the GP side, or did you negotiate that part there too? How was that?
Yeah. So when I came into this team with this business with my business partner, we each have a salary and then equity as well. And that's just, we do enough deals that constantly contribute to that and is able to fund that.
Okay. Awesome. And how long ago did you get started with that?
So I've been working in this since April of 2020. So right as the COVID was hitting.
Wow.
It was crazy. So it was a crazy experience.
Dang. Okay.
So go ahead, Diego. Sorry. No, I got it. Okay. So Tiffany, tell me, that's how you find the deals. You got a great broker. Can you talk about relationships real quick? And I'm sorry I keep going back to this, but I think it's really important so people know kind of where the starting point is. Can you tell us about the relationship you have to get these opportunities to take these deals down? Because we talk a lot about building relationships, like who is your next who, not what, right? So can you talk about the relationships you have to get the opportunity even to purchase these deals, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, so we're constantly working with the same 4 to 5 commercial brokers for our apartment flips. And they consistently come to us with the deal, knowing our reputation, knowing we do them quick. Typically within 12 to 18 months, we flip these apartments. They know that they're going to get a commission on the front end for selling us this deal. They know they're getting a commission on the back end in 12 to 18 months. And so we are constantly working with them when we don't have an active deal with the broker. We're sitting down, we're calling them, hey, do you have any deals right now? Taking them out to eat. So they're constantly just bringing us deals. And then we do our due diligence, figure out if this is a good deal for us, for our investors. And then we go from there.
Sweet. Okay, perfect. So let's dig deep now into the management of this. I'm Tiffany. 2 years ago, how did you and what things are in place for you to manage this amount of units and flipping it? Okay, so let's do it this way. You buy a property and you have tenants in there and you know that you have to get them out, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what you're doing. You're evicting a tenant because you need to flip the property. It's business. It's not pretty, but it is what it is. How does that process work? And then into flipping a unit, into listing it, do you get new tenants in and then list it? Walk us through that process.
Yeah, definitely. So like you said, that process is a little difficult. It's just business. But we have another side of our portfolio that's more affordable housing. And typically we are able to facilitate that transfer from one apartment complex to our more affordable side, especially if they're on housing vouchers. We're able to help that transition. Here in Phoenix, it's a 30-day notice. We work with them, we sit down, we take them the legal notice, we explain, and we let them know, hey, you need some time to process this. Call me back when you're ready to talk. I have other apartments in your price range that you're paying right now.
So you do give options. I think that's huge for people to hear, that you don't just like kick them out of the street. There is options within their parameters of rent.
Correct. And if for some reason we can't facilitate that transfer, we, encourage them, give them resources. I'm constantly looking for other apartments in different budgets to send to them. Hey, I just saw this, call this person. So we are trying to be human throughout this process.
For sure.
But it is business. So we give them that 30-day notice. We love when we buy apartment communities where everybody's on a month-to-month lease. We're able to come and do it all at the same time, facilitate the move-out dates on the same day, and then get started. So we also, just like we have 4 to 5 brokers we work with, we have about 3 general contractors we work with. We have some in-house maintenance, and we start the whole process. Thankfully, because this is something we do a lot, it's very systematic. So people know when they see our apartments that there are apartments. There's white cabinets, there's granite countertops, black accent colors, everything's the same. We're using a lot of the same materials in every deal. It's very consistent, and people know when they see our apartments that it's ours.
I bet Tiffany goes to Home Depot and gets, can I get 37 gallons of the black, please? They're like, what? You're like, I'm doing a whole of, I need 50 gallons of the same color.
Yep. No, we actually did that. Earlier this year, we did 2 apartments at the same time, at the same stage, literally closed within days. And we went in and we bought 50 of the same faucets, 50 washer dryers, dryers, 50 fridges, like the whole 9 yards. So it's very systematic because where we're at in the process. And they had done several deals before I had even come into the team. And so they kind of handed me this playbook, and we've made it better. But it is very much a system and a process.
It's just systems and processes, because you are going to fail to your systems. And if you have something down tight, then you know that you're not going to go below that line. Guys who's listening, and girls, everyone who's listening, this is huge, because what she's saying basically, in what I'm hearing is, you got these processes and procedures, and you're going to go up and down, but you're not going to go below the line that you've set for yourself. And like you said, people know your apartments because you do them all the same. This is why McDonald's does so well. Their burgers aren't great. Let's just be honest. They're a quick fix for a quick hunger, but you know exactly what you're getting every time. You go to McDonald's in Clarksville, Knoxville, California, it doesn't matter. The burger tastes the same. And I think this is good in business, because even yourself, you're going to know how your business runs. My business, for example, it doesn't run at 100%. And I know that I could do better, but I know that I'm not going to fall below a threshold with me and my business partners. And I'm okay with that, right? And if I have more time, I'll boost it up a little bit more. But I'm okay with being at a certain processes and procedures, because it allows me the time that I need. Tiffany, that's awesome. I love that you do it all the same. You have processes for that. Can you talk a little bit about, go ahead, Diego, did you have something to say?
Yeah. What tools do you use, or applications to be able to manage everybody, right? From the contractors to the turns, all of that stuff.
So there's a lot of systems we use. Yeah. First and foremost, just analyzing a deal, we have a spreadsheet. It's the same. We type in our numbers, and it turns out basically, is this a good deal or not, with specific numbers. So that's an Excel that's been built for us, and we use that. As far as managing our teams, the good news is, because we do the same thing, they know what to expect. We can reasonably estimate how many weeks each turn is going to take on the flip. Our GCs know exactly what to buy, how many people to bring in. Our landscapers, we can give them the address, the square feet, and they put together the whole quote. So there's a lot of systems from that perspective. And then as far as the day-to-day management, we have a time clock system for our guys that are W-2 within both. Our GCs use 1099, so we're just cutting them a big check. So they manage their own guys. And then we have Folio for our day-to-day management. Once we have tenants in place, we have a system called Rent Check that does all of our inspections for us. They're virtual inspections. And those are the main systems we use, is that Folio and Rent Check.
Guys, rewind that. Listen to that free sauce, because Masterminds will charge you thousands of dollars for what she just said. Rewind those last 30, 45 seconds, write those down, and dig into those processes. Because not only can you use these processes with one or two houses, you can use this with thousands of units. And you want to grow into things, not grow out of things. So learn these processes and procedures now. Tiffany, that's huge for what you do. Thank you for saying that. So I'm curious, why do you guys sell the apartment complex? Do you guys not keep any of them?
So we have part of our portfolio that's hold and part of them that's flip. We kind of use our flips to churn more deals.
Makes
the
sense.
great news is half of our portfolio we don't actually have investors on, so we are the owners 100%. So we kind of use our profits from being the GPs on the flips to flip it into our buy and hold side. And now we've purchased, single family flips. We're working on 2 developments from the ground up. So we've been able to kind of churn our money and our profit from these flips into other buy and hold deals where we have more of a heart mission.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we invest in inner cities, mainly Phoenix, South Phoenix, and we have affordable rents. We accept housing vouchers. We want to holistically serve our tenants. So we have fitness classes. We have, Christmas events, like different holiday events. We give our tenants food baskets. We partner with an organization that does that. And then we are turning our renters into home buyers. So we have a goal every year to turn 10 of our renters into home buyers. And we just started our program called our Full Circle program. So we bought a single family home off a wholesaler at a great price. We're flipping it ourselves in-house. We are going to sell it to a renter and one of our current residents. And then we've controlled the whole process from start to finish in making affordable housing and making homeowners in South Phoenix.
Wow, that is so cool. You got a passion behind it. That's amazing. I love that. That's awesome. Do you know Evan Holiday, Tiffany?
Yes, I follow him. I love his stuff.
Yeah, he's here in Nashville. We've gone mountain biking. We've gotten coffee together. I've been on his podcast. Y'all sound like y'all are doing this. That's so cool. Oh man, you guys, I need to get both you guys on the podcast at the same time, because I feel like both of you guys have like the same energy towards housing. I think so. In talking to Evan, I thought, and a lot of people might be thinking the same thing, like either you are like not profit and helping people with housing, or you're for profit and you're not helping people with housing. But Evan taught me that you can do both. You can make money, be profitable, and help people find housing. Like you can be a positive influence in your community by also making money, and that's huge. And that's coming from you and Evan. And I was like mind blown, because I thought it was either or. Like honestly, I was like, dude, you're gonna go into a community, you're gonna raise the rent because you got to be profitable, and that's just business, or you can do it nonprofit style. But with what you and Evan are saying, it's like you can give back and you can educate and you can make people homeowners, and that's huge. So like you're profit, but you also have like a mission behind, which is huge. I think that's awesome. So I'm glad that you know Evan. I was going to connect you guys. That's awesome.
Yeah. No, you think of affordable housing and you think of slumlords and different situations like that. It's not at all what affordable housing is. We have, the same standard of our more higher end apartments is the same standard we have for our affordable housing.
Yeah.
And we make it work.
No, that's huge. I think that's super cool. That you guys have that mission. So you flip some so you can buy more. The ones that you buy, you're the owner. How many units do you own? I guess I don't want to say like by yourself, but with your business partners as a GP. How many units do you guys own?
So we have 122 on the buy and hold affordable housing side. So.
That's amazing. And you're 25, you said?
Yes.
Man, you speak like you've been in the game for ages. What would you tell someone coming out of high school or college, 21, 22-year-old, just like you, Tiffany, even like, man, I want to get into real estate, but I want to go GP, or I want to do this. Like, what are some books or what's some advice that you would give someone that's starting out? That's like, man, I would want to be as successful at 25 as Tiffany is. Like, obviously, I can't imagine you at 35. Holy crap, you're going to own half of your state. So what would you say to someone that's like, I want to get started, I want to do this, what she's doing? That's passion.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, one of the biggest things for me was understanding that you're going to have imposter syndrome. This is something that I have every day, essentially, and I have to combat it. But I've also been listening to personal development, reading books, listening to podcasts since I was 17 years old, since I was in high school. So this has been, 7-8 years of filling my mind up and understanding that you can try anything. And I'm afraid of failure all the time, but I understand that getting out there and trying is the only way you perfect it. The first time is going to be messy. The first deal that I took on was messy and there was hiccups in it. But the good news is I had the network behind me to kind of tap in and understand that they weren't perfect the first time either. So constant personal development. One of my personal faves is The Compound Effect. It's something I've read like 4 or 5 times. Every day you have to take some sort of action towards your goal. Don't overwhelm yourself, but small, bite-sized, everyday action.
Small, bite-sized, everyday action. Someone put it on a shirt. That's huge, because that's true. Like a lot of people, I think, focus on the elephant versus just taking one bite at a time. And they're like, man, that thing is huge. Like I'll never be able to take down 122 units. Like I can't even fathom that. And a lot of times, like you said, it's just one unit at a time, one paint color at a time, right? Just take one. What can I do? What was it that the guy said? Like, what are the next 5 steps that I can do today? Or what are the 2 steps that I can do today? What is it, Diego? Do you know what I'm talking about? Am I crazy?
No. Is it what Brandon Turner says?
I think it's what Brandon Turner says.
What is that one thing that you can do today?
Yeah, I think that's what Tiffany was trying to say.
But it's like the next thing that you can do in like the next 10 minutes. Like he breaks it down
huge.
that small. Because at that point it's like, what is the next thing that you can do in the next 10 minutes to get you closer to that real goal?
No, it's literally like every day writing down a couple things. One of my things on my to-do list today is calling the framer for one of the flips we're working on. It's literally that small, and you put enough of those actions together in a line and you have yourself a deal. you have yourself your first flip or your first house hack or whatever, you have that next step.
Let's go one step deeper here. And you don't have to answer the question. I'm okay. But I always like to tiptoe this line. Tiffany, being a woman, what struggles have you seen? Because we're just going to be raw. On this podcast, I'm raw. On other podcasts I've been on, I wasn't able to ask certain questions. But I want to get real. As a woman in what's supposed to be a male-dominated industry, which I hate that, we're huge on empowering women at Rat Race to Fi and in our podcast. What are some of the struggles that you've had to go through, or what have people said? And let's encourage some of our women listeners to get into real estate and attack it, because you can do even better than guys. So what are some of the struggles you've had to get through, and how'd you power through that?
Oh, every day. Especially from contractors and GCs, they see you as a woman, as essentially this project manager, this owner. And, sometimes they don't understand that I know very small amounts of Spanish. And when they're calling me nasty names in Spanish because I'm telling them what they're doing is not to the specs, then they get upset. I've been called nasty names. The imposter syndrome, going home and wondering, do I really have what it takes as a young person and a female? It's constant, and just understanding that I belong here. I can do this. I've done amazing things, and I can continue to do amazing things. And then just following on Instagram. I'm not very active. I haven't posted too much, but just following some of the other females in this industry. So
I would, Tiffany, encourage you to post more, because I think a lot of women seek social media to kind of get energy for themselves. For example, Belen the Builder, I don't know if you follow her, but she's in our mastermind from a long time now. And she followed Investor Girl Britt, and now she's empowering other women to DIY properties. She's flipping 3 or 4 homes in Oklahoma, and it's huge. So I would challenge you to post more, because especially the young generation and women that are watching you crush it, you can be super influential to them, so they can get invested in real estate and maybe see some of the struggles that you're going through and how you overcome them as well. Diego and I, as a minority in this country, we also go through struggles, and like you said, imposter syndrome. Do we deserve this? Do we do that? So that's why we have our social medias and Rat Race, where we're empowering other people. It doesn't have to be minorities, but we just empower people to look, we all go through these struggles, and it's okay. And you do belong, and you do deserve wealth. You do deserve to be here. And this isn't just for the rich man to do, right? We all deserve it. So I think it's awesome that you're what you're doing and what you just said. It's true.
Yeah. I had to go private for a little bit due to a situation with a tenant. But I'm back public and sharing on stories and sharing different things. One of the things I learned over that is just understanding what part of my personal life to share. So they had just been stalking me, and
that's weird.
But now they're out and situation's over, so I'm back public, not sharing as much in my personal life. So I did learn a lesson there, but excited to start sharing more of the real estate side again as I opened it back up. So
cool. And so what's next for you in 2022? As a GP, are you growing more the flipping side, the long-term rentals? What's next?
So we just started in quarter 3 and 4 of this 2021. We bought 2 developments, and we're under contract on a 3rd. So that's really what's next from the ground up for us, is that development from the ground up. And then from more of a personal side and more of our mission, being that I am getting my real estate license. I'm almost done. Our goal is to help more of our renters become homeowners, whether it's one of our properties or an outside property, and helping our tenants become homeowners, because that's a huge feeling. And buying your first home, I remember the one that I live in my personal home, buying that first home was like, oh my gosh, I did this with my own money. And just a really rewarding feeling. So I want to help other people have that feeling as well.
I think that's huge.
Awesome.
Powerful. Tiffany,
where can people...
Yep, I was going to say the same thing.
Sorry.
I was going to say the same thing. Tiffany,
Perfect.
Speaking of socials, where can people find you?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. So my Instagram is at Tiffany Nora Williams. I do post a lot on stories. I'm going to figure out posting on the feed, but definitely stories day to day. I share different things, different one of our flips, resident stories without disclosing anything. just fun little tidbits of what's going on with our business.
That's amazing. Tiffany, it's been a pleasure and honor to have you on the Rat Race to 5 podcast. You've given us so much knowledge. I can't wait to get back to you, let's say in December, and see like how you crush 2022, because I know you will. I think it's huge. So thank you so much for being on the podcast. Honestly, it was a pleasure and honor to have you on.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me and giving a voice to so many different people. Like I said, being young, a lot of imposter syndrome, but thank you for giving me a voice too. So
awesome.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, Tiffany.
See ya.
The Rat Race to 5 podcast, where we discuss money, mindset, real estate investing, and ways to achieve financial independence. Whether you are a rookie or a veteran needing new ideas for investing or creating side hustles, you're in the right place.